Absolutely thrilled to have an interview with you. And I wanted to start off with a quite, like, I guess, straightforward question. But you used to work as a fashion photographer and then you made a transition to the art. So I was curious,
Yeah.
like, how did it happen? In which moment while you were a fashion photographer, you like, okay, like, I feel more like an artist, like, I should be focusing on art.
In reality, I always, my focus was art photography. But when I start, I living in a little city in Italy, in the countryside, and there is no opportunity to do something in this period. So I have this opportunity to work in Milano in the fashion system. So I start to become a professional photographer in Milano, and this has helped me a lot to improve after and have opportunity to develop my art too. So when I was as assistant photographer, I make my first project, artistic project. So I put together the fashion with my heart. And my first project was with the dancer. I photography dancer outside the stage, and I make a performance. And was like this was my first project and my first book.
That's incredible. I think I remember. Is it the one where there's like the two dancers and this like circle and the white sort of like a circle and then the ocean on the background
Yeah.
or
Was after. Was a project that I make with the Max Mara Fashion Group.
hmm.
They was my sponsor, and I make this project all about dancer, but with this company. The name is Aterballetto. Is a company, a big company in Italy, and is from the same city of mine and the same
Hmm.
city of Max Mara. So we made this project. It was in 2007. The other project that I told to you was in 1995.
Oh
So a long
wow.
time ago. A long time ago.
So back in 1995, this is where you're like, okay, I'm like an artist, and this is
Yeah.
transition that I'm making. And also was curious because you work as an explore the intersection of an art and nature, and I was like,
Yeah.
how does the exploration process happening for you? So what is it exactly like? Do you have some like developed practice what you do, or like maybe like how you observe it, like because like looking at your pieces is definitely something that like leave you wondering and thinking. You feel like you're getting something, but then there's also like this element of like in between the lines, where like something like like yeah, something that makes you wonder. So how do you like
This exploration happening in 2011. In 2011, it happened something to my life for my health. So, sorry for my English; it's not so good,
it's
but
great, no worries. It's not my native language too, so like
sometimes I need to find a word. And I have a problem with my health. So I go to the hospital and I stay 10 days in intensive care. So when
mm,
I go out to this is intensive care, something happened to me, and I would like to do some more deeper. Okay, before I make some work more aesthetic. I always love aesthetic and minimal, etc. But in this work was a kind of research more deeper. And it started in the first trip that I make in a desert. Because when I in the desert, I have a connection with I don't know other dimension. So I have this kind of connection, and I start to make this project. The name was Follow the Line, Seguendo una linea. So the
mm.
line it represents for me a door or a window for another dimension. It's for that that I start to put this element.
I think I mean I think you did like something else like later on 2020. I saw the video of where there's like red line that is like going up to the sky and then it goes to the studio and like it meets with the sand, I think, or something like the red sort of facade, or it's later, right? Like it
Yeah, this is for I started this project in 2012, but it's going on. I start
Mm.
to try to, and I make one book. I don't know if that I only 1 second. This is my last book. Is
good.
going
Uh,
just me. This is included 12 the last 12 years. So
oh,
when I start Seguendo una linea and other project. So there is one of the line. And
wow.
so inside there is all the project, all my last 12 years.
Hmm. That's so you said that this sort of like turning point was what happened with your health, but also the realization of like connection to nature. It happened in the desert, right? Like when you visited. And like, do you
Yeah.
remember this? Like, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, like one or two things you realized, like in the desert, where you're like, oh wow, like this is, like I didn't think about it before. What was it for you?
It was like when okay, I practice yoga and I practice meditation, but
Mm,
now I don't know. And when I went in the desert, I have this feeling that I'm connected with everything, and my mind it became completely empty. So
mm,
it is a sensation of peaceful, extremely peaceful. And this the same sensation I have when I'm in the desert, but when I'm in the forest too.
mm,
So very when I went in Amazonia to make one residence, artist residency in 2018, and I make this kind of project all about with nature in the Amazon. It was the same connection. It's incredible. So I would like to explore more that. Now I'm in Brazil because I in January I start another residence, artistic residence, all about water, art, science. Now it's technology, science, and art. Study with scientists, biologists. We go to the sea by boat we study with them to make a project after.
That sounds so interesting. So that the project will take place in Brazil,
Yeah.
the one that you talk about, and the water. Wow. And do you have like our locations in mind, sort of like, how they say this place is like of power for you, like desert, desert. Is it like a specific desert or any desert that you go to, like you feel?
The first desert was in Brazil, because in Brazil we have a desert at the north with the water, but the water is only the water from rain. So we have some lakes only during 2-3 months a year, and after there's only desert. He started in this place, but after that the connection continued. And I made another trip. It was wonderful. Was in Chile, in the desert of Atacama. Was amazing too. I make a lot of project, a lot of picture, and it was incredible.
That sounds so
So
good. And could you walk me a little bit through like your day in the studio or like working process? Is there like sort of like a stable routine, or it depends on the day and the project? Like how is it happening for you?
sometime I go with some idea, but I look what he happened in the moment too. So I left some. It's not always scheduled. I
Mm.
don't put everything because there is some artists that they do they everything. No,
Yeah.
I like to do what happened with the location, what happened with the moment, what happened with the weather too, because it came maybe raining, maybe not. So is the place too that give me a lot of things in different ways. So sometimes this is start other idea. And I like a lot now because in the first time I only go to the desert, so I only take picture with my camera, and after I make some post production. So the line, etc., I put in post production. But now in the last trip that I made was now in August. I went in Cambodia. So in the forest
Yeah.
with the temple in Angkor, I bring with me some element. So I put the element in the picture on the place, and I
Mm.
take the picture with the element.
That's so unusual. So sort of like you combine this like reality that you captured with also the way you, like I know like a perception or something, and then adding like, additional like you work like with the watercolor. It's
Acrylic color, I use
acrylic.
acrylic color in sometimes because I love
Mm,
to put the photography in other surface.
mm,
For example, I start to print on wood in
mm,
2000 when there doesn't exist plotter. So I make this with some emulsion. I use pencil. It was only by hand. Now we have a lot of technology that help us to produce more easy way because there is a big machine now where we can. But I love to use a different surface. So I use paper, photography paper, but I use iron, I use wood, tissue, canvas, and
mm,
I like to make the material with what happened with the photography. So
mm.
I think it's interesting to explore, to
It
continue.
is. It's very like since you touched on the technology, I was curious. So because I feel like now we have like AI art, like just sometimes like too much of the technology. So don't you feel that it's like might interfere in a way with like I know there are like tons of work about it, but like with the nature of art where like it's something that you expect, like naturally like expressing whatever you feel, and that when you use technology, it's sort of like not that, I don't know, natural, or what do you think about that?
I think that I'm a curious person, so I think that it the life is improved in continuous, so we can deny, for example, that there is AI now.
Mm,
I think that everything is depend of our mind, our heart.
mm,
Because when I start at the beginning, I start with the camera in analogical.
mm,
So, and they start to use digital camera. And
mm.
the same period was the same question that now with the AI. Yeah, and in this period, the people they told, with digital camera is not the same that negative, etc. I think it's depend how we use the meaning, the phone, how you use the
So,
camera, use the pencil, how you use AI. It depends. I think maybe there is a lot of artists that can do some incredible things because AI too, you need to put information to do something. So it depended. If I tell something to AI and you tell something to AI, it's different the pieces that they go out.
that's
It's not the
true.
same pieces.
And do you limit amount of time you spend? Because I feel like there's such a delicate balance where like I know you work in the studio or all of us, like I know I think like especially like depends on the nature of work all the time on the phone, on the TV or like somewhere. Like do you have some sort of like I don't know like way to limit this for yourself?
This is so important. I put technology inside a lot
Mm.
because it's not good but for me, for my health, for
Of
me,
course,
for
yeah.
my idea. For example, in nature, I have a lot of connection. Now here in Rio de Janeiro, I live near to the sea, and when I have my mind overwhelmed, I go to the sea. I look the horizon, and they start the idea. They start working. So
That,
we need to detach from all the connection. You need to have one deeper connection in your inside, the inner side.
that sounds like a little like a meditative practice. I think it's like so needed, especially when you buy the water, like you can find those places or like forest or things like that. You touched earlier on there. I mean, obviously it's a private topic, would not go into that, like, the health and or like just struggle in general. I think we all have it like when you're scared or like, you're just struggling for whatever reason. Like, how do you find for yourself the way out of this like state?
With the breath, yes. This is what helped me to calm when I scare for something and when I need to focus. That helped me to concentrate more or to go out and look at the horizon. This is the best care can I do for myself.
I
But
see.
I don't like when I have a lot of because we live in a box. We have a wall here, a wall here, a wall here. So I need to have the horizon. This is so important.
All right. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And aside from the project that you work on now, do you have like a list of locations where you still you haven't visited, but you really want to go see, like perhaps to do a project or just like to experience that you haven't seen yet?
Yes, I would like to go to Mongolia in
Hmm.
the desert of the Gobi and
Okay.
in Australia too.
Australia. Wow, that's interesting. It's like Mongolia. It's very unconventional
These
choice.
two places that I would like a lot to go there and to explore.
Yeah. And how about do you get inspired by other artists too, or are there some artists currently that you look up to and you're like, wow, I really like, this one.
There is a lot of artists that I like. They are so different because someone in maybe is sculpture. For example, I love Richard Serra. I love. For example, I love Joan Mitchell. That
Uh-huh.
she's a painting is completely different of Richard Serra. So I think this is important in art when they. Sorry, my dog. And my dog, she want to stay in all the interview,
Oh, hello. So cute.
uh, in all the picture.
So adorable. I mean, those you do what you gotta do. Those are really great friends, I think.
Yeah.
So those are great artists, because I think another topic which is a really interesting talk about is like a lot of people who are in the art world, like yourself, like an artist, they're like talented artists that you admire, but also like the absurdity that happens in the art world, which I'm sure like you saw like the banana, like things like that, like stuck to the wall,
Yeah,
sold
yeah,
for
yeah.
6 minutes. I'm like, what do you think about that? Like, why is it now that contemporary art, it's more about like, I don't know, like a clickbait, like hype rather than actual master and like, mastery and the technique.
I think, for example, Catalan, for me, is a genius. He have the idea to put one banana, to put it like this, and he sell for a million, a million, a million. I think he's a genius.
Okay, that when you put it on that way, I'm like, well, I guess you're
No,
right.
if for me, he's a stupid. He bought this. Understand? He's a genius, but I think he's stupid. The people that buy that, I think this is a provocation. This is
Mm,
one they want to provoke.
mm,
Because when I was young, I was assistant of Oliviero Toscani, photographer, and Oliviero was a provoker too. He made something, for example, the kiss with the priest, with the sister, and he made a lot of things. It was a provocation, and they didn't understand in this period. He was very, very in front of his time.
mm,
If we saw some work of the Oliviero, he make in the 60,
mhm,
you saw the picture, he's like to make yesterday. It's
mm,
amazing. But
mm.
he was like this, he tried to provocate the system. And I think that Catalan do the same in another way.
That's
So it's not that I like this. For example, I don't like this. I don't like this kind of art, but
See, like I feel like I see what you're saying. It's like about like an idea, because sometimes when something surprise
yeah,
our mind and you're like, oh, I really like it, but it's also like it's ironically enough because now in the art Basel, Miami and everything, and like you
yeah,
look around and there's a very delicate balance between like a great idea and the just trashy thing, where like
yes,
you look at something, you like it is
yes,
trash. So, but
yes.
unfortunately, like I think a lot of people they just get into this like hype and be like, oh yeah, there's probably something. But back to your art. So, what would you want ideally for your artworks to be in many years? Do you want them to be a message or something to be in the museum or on the collector's walls?
I love to work with project. I love
Mm,
it. For example, I have a collaboration, a project. Someone he told me maybe a museum. And they told me this is a space you need to 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 do something in this space. I love this.
mm,
So I love to have more collaboration with museum.
mm,
And obviously, I like if someone love my pieces and wanted to have some my pieces in them collection.
mm.
This is nice for me, obviously.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. And then what is a little bit wide question, but what is beauty for you, you would say?
What is beauty for me?
Mhm.
This is a good question. Beauty for me, I like light and lines. So for me, something that give me some emotion. For me, this beauty.
Is it like has to be like light, like some bright emotions, or if it's dark emotion, it's still beautiful for you if it gives you horror, fear, like
No, I don't like. I prefer light emotion. I'm more in a positive way than in the darkness.
okay. I
I
mean,
don't like, for example, art that is feeling me bad. I understand the feeling of the artist who want the meaning, but it's not my way.
yeah, I see that. Well, my last question for you is that what would you say keep you going, either as an artist or as a human or like overall in general? What is it for you?
Things that if we need to always go in front, never give up. We need to believe in ourselves and to follow our line. But sometimes there is some people. I think we need to respect ourselves, to respect our nature. For example, I have some nature. I know that I'm good in something that I do, but it's not my nature to do other stuff. So I think we need to are honest with ourselves